Billionaire CEO's daughter was paralyzed until a single dad walked in and said, "Let me help her." The rain poured down in sheets over the glass walls of Hartley Innovations, one of the biggest tech companies in the country. Inside the corner office, billionaire CEO Ethan Hartley sat in silence, staring at a photograph, a smiling little girl with big brown eyes and a head full of golden curls. His daughter Lila, once full of life, now confined to a wheelchair after a tragic car accident a year ago. Doctors said she'd never walk again. Therapists tried everything, experimental treatments, the best care money could buy. Nothing worked. Ethan had built an empire by fixing the impossible. But now, he couldn't fix the one thing that mattered most. One rainy afternoon, as he picked Lila up from her physical therapy session, a voice called from behind. "Excuse me, sir. I think I can help." Ethan turned to see a man in his mid-30s, jeans, worn sneakers, a hospital badge hanging from his neck. His name tag read, Daniel Brooks, physical therapist. Ethan frowned. "We've already tried every specialist." Daniel didn't flinch. "Maybe you haven't tried someone who understands her." Something about the calm confidence in Daniel's tone made Ethan hesitate. Against his better judgment, he agreed to one session. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the Hartley mansion. He didn't bring high-tech gear or fancy tools, just a small speaker and a warm smile. "Good morning, Lila," he said gently. "Mind if I play some music?" Lila barely looked up. She hadn't spoken to anyone besides her father in months. Daniel pressed play. A soft melody filled the room. A lullaby. Lila's eyes flickered. "That song," she whispered. "My mom used to sing it." Ethan froze. His late wife, Grace, had written that lullaby. How could this man know it? Daniel smiled faintly. "My daughter loved it too. She didn't make it. A drunk driver." For a moment, time stopped. Both men, one a billionaire, the other a single father, were united by the same kind of loss. Over the weeks that followed, Daniel didn't treat Lila like a patient. He treated her like a little girl who'd been forgotten by joy. They played games, painted, laughed. Slowly, Lila began to move her fingers, then her arms. Daniel celebrated every tiny victory, as if it were the greatest achievement in the world. Ethan watched from the doorway, tears in his eyes, as his daughter's smile returned, something he thought he'd never see again. But one day, Daniel didn't show up. The next morning, Ethan called the hospital, only to learn Daniel had resigned. No forwarding address, no contact information, just gone. In his office that afternoon, Ethan found a note slipped under his door. "Some miracles don't need a price tag. Just faith, DB." Attached was a video file. Ethan clicked it and saw Daniel in a therapy session with Lila, guiding her through small steps. Actual steps. Her legs were trembling, but she was walking one careful stride at a time. Ethan dropped to his knees. Months passed. Lila was walking again. She still needed therapy, but her laughter filled the mansion once more. One sunny morning, Ethan and Lila were volunteering at a local children's hospital, something she'd begged her dad to do. And there, in a small therapy room, he saw a familiar face, Daniel, helping another child walk. Their eyes met. Ethan walked up, emotion thick in his throat. "Why didn't you tell me where you went?" Daniel smiled softly. "Because I wasn't supposed to fix your world, Ethan. I was supposed to help her find hers again." Ethan reached out his hand. "Then at least let me help you this time." 6 months later, Ethan and Daniel launched a foundation together. Grace Steps, named after Ethan's late wife and Daniel's daughter. It provided free therapy for children with disabilities, regardless of wealth or background. Every day, hundreds of children took their first steps through those doors. Some literally, some figuratively. And on opening day, as Lila cut the ribbon herself, Daniel whispered, "Told you she'd walk again." Ethan looked at him with tears in his eyes. "No," he said softly. "You helped us all walk again." The Grace Steps Foundation had become a symbol of hope. Parents from all over the country came to see the place where miracles didn't cost money, only love. News outlets ran stories about it. Donations poured in, but what moved people most wasn't the building, the technology, or the fame. It was the bond between a billionaire and a humble single father who refused to give up on a little girl. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Ethan walked into the therapy room where Lila was laughing with Daniel. She was walking across a colorful mat, steady and sure. "Watch this, Daddy," she said proudly, taking a few confident steps before running into his arms. Ethan lifted her up, overwhelmed. "I'm watching, sweetheart. I'll always be watching." He looked at Daniel, gratitude written all over his face. "You didn't just heal her legs, Daniel. You gave me my daughter back." Daniel smiled softly. "She healed herself, Ethan. I just reminded her what strength looks like." Then Lila said something that froze them both. "Can I call him Uncle Daniel?" Daniel chuckled. "Only if I get invited to your next tea party." They all laughed, the sound echoing like sunlight through the room. Months passed. Grace Steps expanded to new cities. Ethan, who once measured success in profits, now measured it in smiles. Daniel continued to work quietly, never seeking attention, but changing lives every single day. One winter afternoon, the foundation received a letter, handwritten, shaky but determined. It was from a little boy named Noah. One of Daniel's patients, he wrote, "Dear Mr. Daniel, my mom says you help kids walk again. But I think you do more than that. You help us believe we can do anything. Thank you for giving us hope." Ethan read it aloud at a fundraising gala. The entire room fell silent. Then applause thundered. Daniel tried to hide his tears, but this time he didn't. Later that night, Ethan and Daniel sat outside the center watching the stars. "You ever think about how strange this all is?" Ethan asked. "A billionaire and a single dad building miracles together?" Daniel smiled. "Maybe that's how it was meant to be. You had the means. I had the mission, and Lila, she had the reason." Ethan looked at him, deeply moved. "You know, I used to believe money could fix anything. But now I know. People like you are the real wealth in this world." Daniel shook his head. "No, Ethan, people like her are." He pointed toward the glass window, where Lila was sitting beside a small boy in a wheelchair, holding his hand, encouraging him to move his legs. "She's paying it forward," Daniel whispered. "That's what healing really is, when it keeps going." 1 year later, the Grace Steps Foundation opened its 10th branch, this time in Daniel's hometown, where he grew up poor and forgotten. A large mural covered the entrance wall, a little girl walking hand in hand with a man. The words beneath read, "Where hope takes its first step." Ethan stood beside Daniel during the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Cameras flashed, reporters called out their names, but neither man looked at the crowd. Their eyes were on the children, laughing, walking, living. Lila ran up, holding a small bouquet of flowers. "This is for both of you," she said shyly. Ethan smiled, his voice thick. "Thank you, sweetheart." Daniel knelt beside her. "You know, kiddo, you're my favorite miracle." Lila grinned. "No, Uncle Daniel. We're all miracles."